All right, so before we get started in the chat, tell me where you guys are from. Where are y'all checking in from? In the chat, let me know where you guys are checking in from. All right, from Temecula, California, SoCal. Okay, so SoCal's in the house. SoCal's in the house. Ontario. Okay, yeah, we just one big SoCal family. Let's go. Let's get it. All right, so I'm gonna get straight into the presentation. If you guys have any questions, during, you can always like stop, put it in the chat or just unmute and let me know what your questions are. This is more, interactive. I want to help you guys make sure you understand the material. All right. So you guys should see my screen. All right, let's get it. So first time investors, BRRRR, this is a masterclass, right? So that's y'all. That's y'all, looking nice, suited and booted, smiling. All right. So what we're going to cover, we're going to talk about an introduction to hard money. What is BRRRR? The two loans that make up BRRRR, fix and flip loans, the parameters, professions, documents, DSCR loans, the parameters and the documents, the benefits of investing, the buy box, landlord friendly versus tenant friendly states, and then your dream team. All right, so let me move my head out the way. We'll be down here. Let me see if I can move it over a little bit. There we go. This will do. All right. So traditional financing, think of FHA, VA, and conventional loans. Traditional financing is looking at three things. They're looking at assets, which is down payment and closing costs, income, W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, award letters, right? And then credit. So assets, income, credit. Somebody in the chat put assets, put income, put credit. In the chat, put assets, put income, put credit. So traditional financing is looking at your assets, your income, and your credit, right? In addition to the person meeting the above requirements, the property also has to pass an appraisal. So if you have a property that's dilapidated, right, it's missing a roof, the inside needs to, be renovated, it won't pass an appraisal, then you can't do traditional financing. You won't be able to do an FHA, VA, conventional loan. You're going to have to look at another option, right? So traditional financing is assets, income, and credit, right? In addition to that, the property also has to pass an appraisal. All right. So that's where hard money comes in. So hard money is going to be where it won't pass an appraisal, right? Or maybe you have some issues with your credit. So hard money steps in when traditional financing does not work. So I want you guys to look at this here and you'll see this is hard money, right? So it's a dilapidated property. It won't pass a traditional appraisal. Hard money is going to step in. You're going to fix the property. Now you can do permanent financing. So hard money is a bridge. So somebody in the chat put bridge. Hard money is a bridge loan. Hard money is a bridge. So in the chat, put bridge. It's going to be that bridge or that missing piece. It's going to step in and it's going to allow you to get the property, renovate it, and then do permanent financing. So expectations with hard money, expectation is going to be a higher down payment. So you're looking at 10 to 35% down, can vary, right? Interest rates can be 8 to 15%. So they can get up there, right? The terms are going to be a few months to a few years and expect interest only. So what that means is you'll still owe the full amount, right? So that's hard money. So hard money comes in when traditional financing does not work. Hard money is synonymous with bridge because it's going to be that missing piece there that's going to help you get to permanent financing. So these are the expectations: 10 to 35% down, 8 to 15% interest rates. It's going to be a few months to a few years because, again, it's a bridge. It's temporary. It's not going to be 30 years. And usually interest only. All right, are y'all tracking? Are y'all tracking? Okay, so BRRRR, and I guess I'm gonna be moving my head like all day, I guess. So be it. All right, so BRRRR. So somebody in the chat put BRRRR. Put BRRRR with 4 R's. Put BRRRR with 4 R's. Put BRRRR in the chat. In the chat, put BRRRR. All right. So BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. There are books on this, and a lot of real estate investors talk about this strategy, and that's what I'm going to be breaking down for y'all right now over this masterclass. So, and here's a pictorial representation. You buy the property first, and it starts with buying it. You have to buy it at a discount. If you do not buy it undervalued at a discount, BRRRR does not work, right? So for this to even work, you have to buy it at a discount, right? And then the rehab. So rehab is where you're going to renovate the property, forcing appreciation or forcing equity, right? You're making the value go up because you're making it look good. And then you're going to rent it. So rent it is where you're going to put some tenants in place. Refinance, you're going to pull out your initial investment, and then you're going to repeat the process. Boom. So BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So let me see. In the chat, yes, I do see BRRRR. All right. So BRRRR from a lending perspective. Oh, someone raised their hand. Someone have a question?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
So when you go back to refinancing with the BRRRR situation, when you go back to refinance, and how long after you have had the property can you
Mhm.
refinance? Is there like a certain time limit? Do you have to have it for like a year before you can
Mhm.
refinance, or how does that work?
Great question. So it's going to depend on the lender you go with, right? So I have some lenders where there's no waiting period. Typically, most will have you wait 6 months. So what that means is this, right? Let me give you a fake scenario. You have a home worth 100,000. You put 50,000 into it. Now it's worth 300 because you got it at a discount. Usually you'll have to wait 6 months from that initial purchase to now use that 300K purchase price or value. But as long as the work's done and it does appraise for that 300, we can use it right away. So it does depend on who you're working with and what lender and if they have a waiting period. But typically it's going to be 6 months. But as long as you can show me that you've done the work, we can refinance you right away as soon as the rehab is complete. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So here's an example of a BRRRR, guys, right? So again, you start at the end, right? Start at the end. So you want to say this first. Okay, I want to buy this property and I want to fix it up. What is it going to be worth after it's fixed up? You got to work backwards for this to work, and it'll make sense after we work backwards, then I'll go forward. So you start like this. A house in this neighborhood, if fixed up, will go for about 330,000. That's the after repair value. Boom. That is your first number. ARV, the after repair value, right? Now you want to say, okay, now how much renovations do I need to do to the property? Okay, I need to do about 65. You'll have the contractor walk, the general contractor will walk the property and they'll do a bid. They'll let you know how much it's going to cost to rehab it, right? So you take this ARV and then you want to multiply that by usually like 0.65 or 0.75. And you'll say, hey, I don't want to get this property unless it's at this price or lower. So again, work backwards. The first and most important number is what is the house worth when it's fixed up? Then you want to see how much work is it going to cost? And that's going to tell you, hey, I'm willing to buy this if I can get it at this price. So like with this one, right? Now we'll go forward. You're buying it at 180,000. You're rehabbing it for 65. So 180 plus 65 is 245. So you're all in at 245. Now it's going to be worth 330. So you can sell this, and that's about 80, 85,000 you'll make minus the fees and costs, right? Still some good money. Or you can refinance it and keep it. So again, you first work backwards. What is the house worth fixed up, ready to go? Then how much will it cost to rehab it? Just a quick estimate. And now you work forward. Okay, hey, if I bought it at 180, if I rehab it for this, I'm all in at this amount. And now I know how much equity I have in, do I want to sell it or do I want to keep it? Right? So if you guys are tracking me in the comments, put BRRRR again in the comments, put BRRRR. B with 4 R's, put BRRRR, put BRRRR. So, and then, like I said, mainly this is what you want to do. You want to work your deals backwards. You want to work backwards. You start with that ARV, and then you go, how much is a rehab? Okay, what's the purchase? Okay, now purchase and rehab. Does this deal make sense? If you can't get it at a discount, it won't make sense. All right, so we talked about hard money, right? Hard money is basically a bridge loan. So bridge meaning it's not going to be there forever. It's just to give you some financing so you can get that property and you can renovate it, you get permanent financing or sell it. BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. That's BRRRR. The two loans that make up BRRRR are the fix and flip and the DSCR. Let me actually go back. I don't know if I harped on this. So the BRRRR from a lending perspective, guys, when you buy and rehab, that's a fix and flip loan. Fix and flip loan, right? Then you rent it out. Then after you rent it, you refinance with a debt service coverage ratio, a DSCR loan. So BRRRR from a lending perspective, don't get confused or anything. It's just two loans. You're going to buy the property and rehab it with a fix and flip. You're going to rent the property after it's fixed up, and then you're going to refinance with that DSCR. All right. So now we're going to go more into depth on the fix and flip. Then we're going to talk about the DSCRs, right? So fix and flip, as I mentioned earlier, the 4 most important numbers are first, what is the property worth after it is fixed up and shiny? So I want y'all in the chat, tell me what is the most important number for a fix and flip. It is the ARV, the after repair value. In the chat, tell me what is the most important, the first number for a fix and flip. What is the first number, the first value you should be looking at? That's the ARV, the after repair value, right? So first you want to know, hey, what is this worth after it's fixed up? So it doesn't even matter what it looks like. You see the inside? Doesn't even matter. You want to know, what is this going to be worth after I fix it up? Okay, it's worth 500,000. Okay, great. The next number is, what am I going to be buying it for? Now, again, for it to work, you got to buy it at a deep discount, right? Because when you have the property, you're going to have different costs. We'll talk about that in 4. So first number is, what is it worth after it's fixed up? Second, what are you buying the property for? Third, how much is it going to cost to fix up? And you don't have to estimate this, guys. You'll have a contractor, they'll walk the property and they'll say, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing the paint, I'm doing the carpet. This is going to cost you 80,000, 300,000, or, you know, whatever the number is. They're going to make a contractor's bid. And so they're going to tell you how much they're going to charge you to do all the work. You're not doing the work. You're just getting the property and getting the contractor, right? So again, what is it worth after it's fixed up? What's the purchase price? How much you're getting it for? What's the rehab cost? And another important number for y'all is going to be the holding cost, right? So holding cost is going to be when you're in that home, when you're in that loan, the interest only loan payments, homeowners insurance, property taxes, water bill, electricity, any other costs associated with holding the property. And this is why you have to get them at a discount, right? Because check this out. If you get a property and let's say you renovate it for 2 months and you're in hard money, you're paying $1,000 a month. What if the property sits on the market for 3 months or 6 months or 8 months, right? So although, yeah, you can have the, you can get the profits, you may not get the profits if the property doesn't move fast enough. So you really want to make sure you have a cash cushion or a cushion with how much profits you can make, because again, that after you get the appraisal, it could come in a little bit lower, right? Because sometimes appraisers, that's just what happens. So you want to make sure there's enough meat on the bones, just in case your number's off, just in case that rehab comes a little higher, it takes a little longer, right? So after repair value, purchase price, rehab, and holding costs. Any questions on these? Question, go ahead. I see someone raise their hand.
So how do you determine, like if you're going through a hard money lender, how would you determine how much to actually ask for? Being that you know what the ARV is, you may
Mhm.
get it property from a wholesaler and you get the, the rehab costs, but like you said, you still gotta have some cushion just in case if that property sits there longer. So like how
Mhm.
much would you ask for the hard money loan person to give you, like maybe like I don't know, extra 20,000 just in case, or how
Yeah,
is that determined?
so okay, yeah, so that's a good question. So when you're looking at hard money loans, right? The terms when you come to me, it's just going to be I'm going to say what's the purchase price, right? What's the rehab cost? And that's what I'm giving you for the loan. The purchase price to buy it and then the rehab to fix it. Now, as long as you're in the loan, you have interest only payments, right? So your goal would be to refinance to a DSCR as soon as it's renovated or to sell it. But if you're in the loan longer, you're just going to be making more payments. Does that make sense? So it's not that you need more money from the hard money lender, right? It's just going to be more so that the longer you're in the loan, you're going to have those interest only payments. Does that make sense?
From the hard money lender, right?
Correct. Correct. Because the goal
Okay,
again is it's a bridge loan. So you want to get that hard money, you want to fix the property. Now you want to refinance to DSCR or you want to sell it.
gotcha.
And the longer
Okay,
you're in it, you just have interest only payments. So it's not like you need more money, it's just you're going to pay them more money. But again, if your profit margin is, let's say, 80,000 or 70,000, you want to sell it so you get your 70,000. But if it
right,
sits for a month or two or three or four, you might not make 70,000, you might only make 64,000
right,
because you had to make two, three other payments because it was sitting on the market.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Oh, you can finance both. Yes, Dominique had a question. Yes, Dominique, you can finance both. So here's just a quick example of what a scope of work look like. So your general contractor, they walk the property, right? And they're like, hey, for the roof, the labor, and then the materials. And these can look all different kind of ways. This isn't like the standard way. But typically it'll be like an Excel sheet, really. Your general contractor will walk the property. They're going to say what they're going to be doing a little bit more specifically, and then they'll say how much it costs and then the materials and the total cost, and you'll have that running budget. So this is an example of what a scope of work or a contractor's bid could look like. Like I said, literally it's just an Excel sheet. They're going to write out everything they're fixing and then a line item cost. Dominique, you had a question?
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm clear. The hard money can finance the rehab and actually I have two questions. I'm sorry. The hard money
Yeah.
can finance the rehab and the purchase price of the home, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm assuming, how does the contractor get paid? Do they get paid through escrow, or when we purchase the home, are we getting the cash difference for the rehab and then paying the contractor?
That's a good question. So typically how it works, y'all got me all excited asking questions and stuff. So typically how it works, right, is the work is done and they're paid in draws. So like you see the scope of work, right? So at the
Hmm.
bottom total, it's this is gonna cost 50,000. So
Hmm.
what's gonna happen is they're gonna pay for it, like the materials and the labor, and they're gonna get reimbursed as we go along.
Got
It
it.
depends on your project, but it could be between like 3 to like 6 draws. So they're gonna complete $5,000 worth of work and they can be reimbursed 5,000. And then they'll do the next part and then they'll be reimbursed the next part. But
And the
they're
hard money lender is paying for the draws, right?
yeah, correct.
Got it. Okay.
Correct. All right. So fix and flip. So the loan parameters, so the as is door value minimum is usually about 75,000. The loans usually can start at about 100K to 125K. That's the minimum, going all the way up to 3 million maximum. Credit scores, some lenders, they still want to see like a 660, 680, some no score. And that's because they know you're only in that loan for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. So They more so just want to see, do you have the down payment? Do you have some reserves, right? So a loan to ARV. So loan, how much are you borrowing versus what is a home worth after it's fixed up? Typically, they're only going to loan you about 65 to 75% of the after repair value, right? So I say 65 to 70, it's going to depend on the lender we go with and then your experience. If you're more experienced, they're willing to go with slightly higher leverage because you have experience, you know what you're doing. Also with that down payment, right? If you're new, it may be closer to that 30%. But if you have experience and you have some flips, it could be closer to 15, maybe even 10%, right? So with fix and flips, the main difference is this isn't traditional financing, right? This isn't an FHA, VA, or conventional loan, so it can vary by the deal, right? Whereas FHA, VA, it's do you qualify? Does the property qualify? Good. But fix and flip, it's more what is the deal? Where are you buying? What's your experience? Things like that. All right, so professions for a fix and flip professions. And anybody have any questions about that last slide for questions? If you got them, just put them in the chat. So professions, right? You're gonna need your loan officer or hard money lender. So they finance the deal. So you can use me. I'm not pressed if you don't. I want to give you the information though. If you're looking for a hard money lender, the best place to find them is local real estate meetups. So somebody in the chat, put local real estate meetup in the chat. Put local real estate meetups. So local real estate meetups is where you can find your hard money lenders because local real estate meetups are going to have, you're going to have loan officers, right? You're going to have real estate agents, title reps, you're going to have investors, wholesalers. So if you just go to a local real estate meetup, that's where you can find a good hard money lender or get like a referral. So local real estate meetups. Or like I said, you can use me too, right? Your general contractor, they're going to be completing their repairs and or they hire the subcontractors that complete the repairs under their supervision. So you have the general, and then he's saying, hey, I need somebody to do the siding. Hey, I need somebody to do the painting. I need somebody to do the plumbing. So they'll go and subcontract out the work that you have them to do, or they'll do it themselves, right? You have the wholesaler real estate agent. So they're going to find the deals. So wholesalers, if you guys don't know, what they do is they find properties and get them under contract super cheap, right? So they have different ways and different systems they look up. People that are behind on taxes, absentee, meaning the home is there, no one's there. So wholesalers can find deals and then real estate agents as well, because people know when they want to buy or sell, they're going to call an agent. So agents might have some on and off market deals. Listing agent, this is if you plan to sell it after you flip it, or if you plan to rent it, right? And you really want to get a listing agent before it's done, right? Because you want them to already start marketing and saying like, because again, you don't want to be in that hard money loan for longer than you need to be. So you want a listing agent maybe going through the property, telling people, hey, coming soon, coming to the market, coming soon, right? Because you really want to get that home off or sold or, you know, a tenant in place as well. So the listing agent, you want to talk to them while you're doing that, while you're doing the rehab work. Title rep, they're going to verify this person owns it and verify you'll be taking over, especially if you're dealing with wholesalers. You want to make sure everything is legit, like you really own the property and they're not like stealing your money. So when you have a title rep, they can verify this person does own this property. And through this transaction, you will now officially own the property. So you want to make sure you have a good title rep. You want to make sure title is clean and everything is verified, right? And then property management company, they'll help you manage the property. That's again, if you're flipping, and then we're not flipping. If you're going to be renting it out, they can help you manage it if you want to be hands-off. So these are the professions: loan officer, general contractor, wholesaler, real estate agent, listing agent, title rep, and property management company. All right. Documents. So the documents needed if you're like, hey, I want to do a fix and flip, unexpired government issued ID, your EIN letter from the IRS, operating agreement, articles of organization. You don't really need your bylaws, but whatever. Certificate of good standing if you've been in business longer than a year, and then register as a foreign entity with the Secretary of State if your business is formed outside of that state. So here's what I mean. Let's say most of y'all are in Cali, right? So let's say you're in Cali. Some people, for like privacy, they'll do a Delaware or Iowa, Wyoming LLC. So it's like they're hidden, right? So if your LLC was formed in Wyoming, but you literally want to do business in California, you need to register as a foreign entity with the Secretary of State for California because you're doing business in California. So if you get an LLC and it's outside of the state you're doing business in, just need to register as a foreign entity, right? Or sometimes you can close in your personal name, not close in the LLC. Yeah, it just depends on the deal and how we're structuring it. 2 months bank statements, they need to show down payment, closing costs, reserves. Usually it might be like 6 months. So the lender, they know if you're doing hard money, you're probably going to be in it 1, 2, 3-ish months. So 6 months make them feel safe, right? And then 10% of the rehab budget. So if the rehab budget is like 60,000, move the decimal. They want to see, hey, do you have like 6,000 to get started with the rehab work? So those are bank statements. General contractor, their license information, because they're going to be doing the work. So they want to make sure that they're licensed. Sometimes it just depends. They don't have to be licensed, but typically having their information works. Scope of work. So I showed y'all what that is. So the scope of work looks like this. It's usually completed by the general contractor. And then HUDs, if you have experience, homeowners insurance, the policy needs to be activated before we close. Preguntas, any questions about the documents needed for a fix and flip loan?
Yes. So the 2 months of bank statements, is there like a certain amount that you got to have in there, or they just want to see that it's active?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So again, this wouldn't be traditional lending. So it's not like show me the money and the money needs to be there for 60 days because that's going to be traditional lending. So sometimes you got a business credit card and you did like a cash advance and you're dropping money into your business account. So typically, as long as the money's been in your account for about 15 days, we're good. So the money's is the down payment, whatever that is, the closing costs, the reserves, if they're required, sometimes it's 6 months, and 10% of the rehab budget. So it doesn't need to be there for like 60 days. I said 2 months just for the cushion, but as long as it's there, usually needs to be there about 15 days actually. So yeah, show the down payment, show the closing costs, show the reserves if required, and 10% of the rehab budget, all in that account. Either your
Okay.
personal account or business account. Go ahead.
With the anonymous LLC in Iowa, Wyoming, Nevada, Delaware, all that good stuff. If you're only going to, let's say, get this property in California or any other state for that matter, if it's only for a short amount of time, because I know like when I go on to like PropStream and stuff like that to look for properties, I noticed that a lot of the properties, they don't, they make it like 123 Main Street LLC, so to speak. Do you actually have to register as a foreign entity if you only holding it for like 2 to 3 months?
Yeah, well, if you want to do business in that state, yes. Yes, if you want to do business in that state, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. So Dominic, did you have a question? You just raise your hand.
Yeah, just to go off piggyback what she just asked, if you flip in another state, like let's say you want to flip in Texas and Florida, do you have to have an LLC in both of those states, or can your LLC just be based in California?
Oh, no. So you can have one LLC, but it needs to be registered with each state. So you'll go to the Secretary of State website for Texas, Secretary of State website for Florida, and register your LLC in those 2 states to do business in those 2 states.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it can still be in Cali. You just register for each state. Think
Gotcha.
of it like, like another business, right? Like you're selling food. If you want to sell food in this state, they just want to make sure your license are good for that state. So you still have your business. You just need to register with that specific state or that specific place because that's where you're doing business.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So fix and flip to DSCR, guys. So after the property is renovated, you can put the tenants inside. You need signed leasing agreements and usually first month rent for a DSCR. right? So again, with BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, doing the fix and flip, right? And then after it's fully renovated, now we can rent it. And after we rent it, we can go ahead and we can do this refinance. All right, so we talked about hard money. So hard money, somebody in the chat put bridge. Somebody put bridge, put the word bridge in chat, put the word bridge. So hard money is basically just a bridge loan. It comes and it allows you to get possession over the property. Once you have that possession, you can go ahead and fix it up and you can sell it, or you can do permanent financing. So put bridge in chat. Then we have BRRRR. So BRRRR is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. The two loans that make up BRRRR. I mean, if you look down, I kind of like give you the answer. So it's a fix and flip loan and then the DSCR. So we just talked about fix and flip. Now we're going to get into DSCR. All right, so DSCR, right? So it stands for debt service coverage ratio. DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. So credit score 660 to 700. Really, you really want a 700 plus score, because with these lower mid credit scores, like mid 600, you can have pricing hits where your pricing's higher or it requires more down. Loan amount is going to start at about 75K to 125K. Again, it depends on the investor we go with. That's the minimum loan amount, right? All the way up to about 3 million, and they can go slightly higher too by exception, case by case. So the rent needs to cover the full payment. So that is principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and association dues. So the full payment. So you have tiers to it though, right? If the rents fully cover the mortgage, we have coverage, right? If it nearly, like the rent doesn't really cover the mortgage, that's called a near coverage, right? And then you have no coverage. So let me kind of explain it. Let's say market rents say it can rent for 2,000, but you know you're going to rent it by the room. And so with your investment strategy, you're going to be making more money than market rents. So even though on paper it says the rent doesn't cover the mortgage, you know your rents are going to be able to cover it. So that's a case where you would do a near or a no debt coverage, because you know your investment strategy, you're still going to be able to rent it and make money. Or like even if you're doing short-term rental like Airbnb, right? You know on paper, if it says 2,000, you know you're going to at least be getting 5,000, 6,000 a month from that property. So you have full coverage, you have near coverage, you have no coverage. It's just going to be a little bit more down, right? If you have like the no coverage because it's higher risk, and maybe show a little bit more in reserves. Cash out. So we mentioned this earlier. One of y'all brought it up, but most lenders, they do require 6 months to a year before you can pull money out at a higher value. So again, you bought the home for 200,000. You put 20 into it. Now it's worth 320, right? So most are going to tell you you have to wait 6 months if you want to pull cash out. But there are a few investors where there's no seasoning. So that means no seasoning is if we do an appraisal right now and it appraises for 350 right now, we can get you cash out based off of 350 right now. So I do have investors where you don't have to wait that 6 months or a year. We can go off of whatever the appraised value is right now, or right when you finish your renovations. So DSCRs are for investment properties only. Investment properties only. No employment, no income. So again, it's literally, does the rent cover the mortgage payment? And you can qualify even if you don't own your primary. Did y'all know that? You can qualify even if you don't own your primary. So how this works is basically if you have 12-month rental history, we can use that, particularly if you're like buying out of state, right? You live in Cali, properties are 700, 800, $1 million. Properties in Philly are 100,000, properties in Ohio are 100,000. So you can be renting, but still purchase a property out of state using a DSCR loan. Questions? Because this slide was kind of meaty. So any questions? And let me check the chat, make sure we're good.
So this is under the DSCR loan. You still got to do the LLC though, right? Because it says no
Correct.
employment, no income.
Mhm. So
Okay,
yeah,
under LLC. Okay.
so with the DSCR, you can close it in your personal name or you can close it in your business name. It just depends how you want to do that. Same for the fix and flips. There are a few lenders where you can close in your personal name, but usually, I can't advise you on this, but usually for benefits or security, you typically want to close in an LLC. It just protects you and protects your investment a little bit better than closing in your personal name. So that's typically why people will close in a entity. Dominique, you had a question?
I didn't, but I just thought of one. Going back to the fix and flip. Now, I know you said like if it's your first flip, it's going to be a higher down payment. What if does it have to be you have like what do you prove to them that you've done a flip before?
Oh, so they're looking at HUDs. So HUDs is going to be the closing of the settlement statement. So when you do a flip, you're going to be on that HUD. So you will just present the HUDs.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
All right. So let me see where we are. So we just covered that. All right. So debt service coverage ratio. So the documents, unexpired government issued ID, your entity docs. If you're closing an entity, you can't close these in your personal name, but most will close an entity. 2 months bank statements showing the down payment, closing costs and reserves. If required, sign leasing agreement. And this is if you're just coming into the fix and flip to DSCR, right? Homeowners insurance policy, which you need to activate it before we close, and title company you would like to use. So it's relatively really light on the docs for the DSCR. It's mainly does the rent cover the mortgage payment. That's pretty much it. Any questions on the DSCR documents and see qualifications or the documents for the DSCR? Nope. All right. All right, so we covered hard money. Again, hard money is bridge. What is BRRRR? BRRRR is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. The two loans are fix and flip and DSCR. Those are the loans that make up BRRRR. Now we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff, the benefits of investing. All right, so the main three benefits, and there's more, right? But the main three benefits is going to be cash flow, equity build, and then taxes. So for cash flow, that is literally the rent minus all the expenses. So what's the mortgage payment? What's the property expenses? And then what's the property management fees if you don't want to be hands-on, right? So that's going to be your cash flow. Next is the equity build. So homes tend to appreciate. And again, legally, I have to tell y'all 10 because there are some years where they can dip, right? But if you're looking at a 5-year or 10-year span, there will be times where maybe it dips down, right? Like 07, 08, 09, right? Where they kind of dip down. But if you're looking at 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they're going to be going up in value, right? So here's an example of you'll see like the market value, right? So let's say this was 400,000, right? 2 years go by, now it's worth 450. Now it's worth 5, now it's worth 6. That's your initial investment, that gray. And then the debt is what you owe on it. So over time, you're paying it off, right? So you owe less, but it's also going to be growing in value, right? So that's what I'm talking about with the equity build. So some areas, they may give you more cash flow. Other areas, they may give you more equity build. Some may give you both. It just depends, right? So the third benefit is also going to be taxes. So you can reduce your income, thus reducing your taxes if you report a loss. So here's the federal tax brackets, right? So let's say like you're a high net worth individual, right? You're a doctor, lawyer, or you're a high up executive for a company, right? So let's say you're making some good money, right? But you're getting taxed at these higher rates. And you're like, how can I lower my income? Got you. So this is a Schedule E. So if you were to buy real estate, right, and you could report it as a loss, now you're lowering your income. And if you lower your income enough, you can get into the next bracket or a lower bracket, right, where now you can be taxed at a lower rate. So that's one of the benefits of, owning real estate, where you can use this as a vehicle to lower your income to potentially pay less in taxes. All right, so we talked about hard money. We talked about BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. We talked about fix and flip. We talked about DSCR. I talked about the benefits of investing. Before we go to the next slide, I want somebody to tell me what is one of the benefits of investing in real estate? What is one of the benefits? What is one of the benefits of investing? Don't be shy. All right, let's see. Cash flow, cash flow, equity build. Yeah. Nobody said taxes? Y'all like paying taxes? Oh, I guess. I guess. All right. All right, so let's talk about a buy box. All right, so what is a buy box? So buy box is, this is going to help you sound a lot more savvy. So a lot of times people say, hey, I want to buy investment property. I'm looking for a deal. Oh, what's that? Like, just with goals, how you want smart goals that are specific, measurable, obtainable, right? You want to identify what it is you want. So location, preferably you want a city or a zip code, right? Where do you want to buy? Not just, I want a deal. Where? Do you want it in California? Do you want it in Texas? But not just California. Do you want it in a city? And then not even a city, like what area, right? Some things to keep in mind: airports, colleges, crime statistics, there's a lot more. But again, some investors, they only want to buy at least no more than 2 hours out from an airport, just in case, even if they're hands off, if they have to go to their properties, right? Because if you're buying in the boonies of like Louisiana, you could get cash flow. But if you ever have to check on that property, or imagine you got to get a general contractor, things that are by airports are more easier to get to, right? So you want to look at airports, transportation, things like that from the property or where they are. Colleges, right? Are you doing like colleges? They bring in a lot of like traveling professors. They have a lot of population, younger adults. So colleges, you look at high schools too, right? A lot of other things, and then crime statistics. So crime statistics, it could give you good cash flow, but if it's a heavy crime area, maybe you'd have a higher chance of them not paying rent, right? Because, they might be in prison, or, their place might be vandalized, so they may want to leave or not live there. So these are all just factors to consider when you're making your buy box, right? So it's not just, I want a place with cash flow. Yeah, but what about the area as well? Because you want to make sure you're securing your investment. What? Do you want to do residential? Do you want to do commercial? Square footage, property type. Do you want a single family? Do you want a duplex? Do you want a triplex? Bedroom, bathroom count as well. So again, there's some investors, they will only buy with at least 2 bathrooms, right? And their notion for that is, with 2 bathrooms, there can be 2 families in that home. So as things change, property values go up, things like that. I know my rents are more secure with homes with at least 2 bathrooms. But you say what you want. I want to buy a residential, property, 1,800 to 2,300 square feet. So that also the price points, the minimum, maximum. How much do you want to pay? You want to pay 100,000? Are you looking at 200, 500? What's your price points? And then condition of the property. So new is, do you want it brand new? Turnkey. If you just want to do a DSCR and you don't want to bother with that fix and flip stuff, cool. You just need it turnkey. Turnkey does not mean it's brand new. It just means it'll pass an appraisal. Or, hey, I want someone with a light rehab, a medium rehab, or like a full gut. So here's a buy box. You can kind of make it, and it'll help you. So you don't frustrate your real estate agent, because you don't want to say like, our wholesaler, hey, send me deals. It's no, hey, I'm looking for homes in this city, this zip code, preferably from 300 to 400,000. And I'm looking for a light rehab. That's going to make you sound a lot more intelligent, a lot more savvy when it comes to real estate into investing. Any questions on a buy box? And you make it as you want, you change it as you want. You don't have to strictly follow it, but it just helps you when you're like looking for deals and kind of hone in on different things. Questions on the buy box? All right. So we covered buy box, we covered benefits of investing, we covered DSCR loans, fix and flip, we covered BRRRR. We almost out of here, y'all. We almost out of here. Someone raised their hand. Tracy, what's
Okay,
up?
I'm sorry to keep asking all these questions.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I actually do have questions. Go ahead. What's up?
Okay. Okay, so if let's just say I wanted to do just a regular traditional FHA VA kind of purchase instead of going through the fix and flip hard money DSCR.
Mhm.
But I get it, it's a light light rehab or whatever to get it to where I want it. And then can I put it on the market that way without going through all of that? Can I still put it on the market and sell it that
Mm,
way? And at that time, just,
you
I don't
can't
know.
but here's the thing. If you're going that route, you're buying it as your primary residence. And typically speaking, you want to be in the property for 6 months. If you're buying it as your primary. Because if you go VA and you fix it up and then you leave, you know what I mean? It looks like, was that your primary or was that investment? So I would say you can do that, right? You can buy it as your primary, stay there for like 6 months, stay there for a year, and then sell it. If that's something you want to do. So that is
Okay.
available. That is possible.
Oh,
Did I answer your question?
yeah, it did. It really did. Thanks.
All right. So we're gonna talk about landlord friendly versus tenant friendly states. All right, so landlord versus tenant friendly, right? So again, when you're investing, you want to consider these things. So what is the eviction process, right? Some states it's pretty long and drawn out, some it's more easier. Rent control, is there rent control, right? Property taxes, are the property taxes high or low? Also, you want to consider what are the late fees with rent? What's the security deposit regulations? What's tenant screening? Because this can be discrimination. So you want to make sure you can legally screen tenants however you want to screen them. Maintenance and repairs. There are some states where when you invest in them, if you don't do certain repairs, your tenants can do the repairs and they can deduct that from the rent, right? And then notice periods. Is it 30 days? Is it 10 days? Is it 60 day? So you want to know these things. So states that are more landlord friendly, they're going to be more harder on these, or these are going to be more to your favor as a landlord. States that are tenant friendly, they're going to be more tenant lenient on these aspects and elements. So here's a graph. It just kind of shows like tenant friendly versus landlord friendly. So landlord friendly is more green, and then tenant friendly is more like pink, right? So you'll have your Arizona, right? You'll have your Cali, right? And then for landlord friendly, you'll have like your Louisiana, Texas lightly, right? Idaho, Wyoming, North Carolina, Georgia, right? All right. So now I want to show you guys some properties. So one of my friends said, show y'all the property so you can see how cheap they are in other areas. So this is in Michigan. So you got a condo for 65,000. You got a house for sale for 50,000. And that doesn't look like super beat up. You know what I mean? You got another house in Michigan, and that's going to be for 80,000. Right? Here's a multifamily. We're looking at Ohio now. And guys, I pulled this like 2 days ago, right? So a multifamily, 100,000. It needs some work, right? Multifamily, 50,000. I'm sure that thing cash flows, right? Another one for 100,000. Where are we at? This is Wisconsin. Wisconsin. You got a whole house for 120, 82, 200,000. This is Texas, different parts of Texas. 100,000, 100,000. That's a nice house, right? 154,000. And we are Alabama, 50,000, 54,000, 155,000. Right? So with landlord versus tenant friendly, is just simply understand the risk, understand the laws, and understand the reward for wherever you're investing. So it's not you have to invest in landlord friendly states. No, you don't, right? There's no wrong place to invest. You just want to know the risk, know the laws, know the reward, know what you're getting yourself into. There are some people that they will invest in a certain state because they got family there, right? So they're comfortable, they know it, they used to live there, right? They grew up there. So it doesn't matter if it's landlord friendly or tenant friendly, they know the area, right? So you don't have to only invest in a certain place. Just know and understand where you're investing. There's no wrong place to invest. Just do your research. All right. And lastly, we'll talk about Dream Team and we're done. So your Dream Team. So when you're investing, you want a loan officer. They're going to be financing the deals for you, right? You want a real estate agent. They're going to help you find property, write offers, negotiate terms. You want the general contractor. They're going to be completing like the renovations, title company. They're going to verify ownership. And again, make sure everything we're doing is legit, particularly if you're like using a wholesaler, you want to make sure that, you know, everything is legal, ethical, and correct. Homeowners insurance agent. So they're going to issue the insurance for the property, right? Property management. If you want to be hands off, you don't want to deal with tenants and toilets, you can have that property management. And then CPA tax preparer, as I mentioned, with the write-offs and how to structure it and things like that. And that's the Dream Team. That is the Dream Team. So that's what we talked about today, y'all. We talked about BRRRR, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. The two loans that make it up is fix and flip, DSCR. The benefits of investing, you know, you got the tax benefits, cash value, or cash flow. Y'all get me. Benefits, buy box, and then landlord friendly versus tenant friendly states. Do y'all have any questions for me? Was I going too fast? Was I going too slow? Any questions? Let me know in the
I have a
chat.
question.
Yeah.
So, do you have any programs, any loans for new construction, or how does that work? Or if we can have an external call for that, that's fine.
Yeah, we can set up an external call, but yeah, new construction, you mean ground up? Like you want to do you own the land already? The lot?
I'm looking for lots, and I have enough capital to buy one lot, and then I'm doing my research. It looks like they can finance the construction cost based on the lot, but you tell
Right.
me.
Yeah. So we can set up a call, but basically you're referring to ground up construction. So that's different than fix and flip. The main difference is fix and flip. You already have the foundation, so you're not like knocking out walls. But with ground up construction, you're creating walls, right? So that's the only difference. But yeah, I can help you with ground up construction. We can talk about terms and things like that. But yeah, you get the land. After you get the land, you might have to do some clearing of it, get it ready and get it prepped. We can include that like soft costs in the construction. If not, you can do it on your own, and then we could just do the ground up construction. Whether you have experience or not, I can help you with ground up construction too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And so here's my contact information. You guys should all have it. And then I have yours because you registered as well. So I'll, be sure to reach out to you guys. But if you need me, that's my cell, call, text, email, CVNX Mortgage. And then that's my Instagram. I'm on Facebook too, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't really use TikTok, but I'm on there. But any questions? Oh, so we talked about like fix and flip, right? So hard money, fix and flip, DSCR. There's a ton of different loan programs that I can help with. So if y'all have any questions about what we talked about or something else, like just call me, text me, DM me, reach out to me, and I can go over or cover any of the other loan products that you might have a question about. And that's the end. Like you see, like there's nothing. That's the end. So any questions before I let y'all go? Thank you for the information. It's very informative and amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys
Thank
like
you.
this in the comment section, just put a fire emoji. Put a fire emoji. If this was fire, if this information was worth the $100 you spent. Oh, wait, it was free. I gave y'all a free game. And yeah, so this is something like if you go to conferences and things like that, people will pay hundreds of dollars for the information I just gave y'all for free. They will. They will. If you don't believe me, go to a conference and I guarantee you my information is more than theirs and I didn't charge you. Yeah. All right. Well, thank y'all for your time. You got my contact information. Conrad Van, the mortgage man. If y'all have any other questions, reach out to me. And yeah, I'll see you. Peace.